Welcome back. Today I'm looking at the DOLAMEE D5 Android TV box. Now this is one of the cheaper boxes I've looked at. Price of this is around about £25 or $30, so it's right at the lowest end of the price point. Standard package included with this, including the HDMI remote and adapter. Looking at some of the key features, we have a Rockchip RK3229 quad-core processor, Pentad-Core graphics, 1GB RAM and 8GB storage, and it's running Android 5.1. Specs are fairly basic on this, just single band Wi-Fi and the 10100 network speeds. Now looking at the remote, I've seen this on a few other boxes and it's a pretty good one. You get a nice brushed metal effect on the top plate. You also have an LED which glows when you press a button, but you can also program the buttons here at the top, the 5 buttons for a TV remote. You just push and hold and then you can map the original remote control to the buttons. Looking at the back, it actually gives you instructions on how to do this, which is useful to have. Not all of these have had that, so you'll never forget how to do that. You have a space for 2 AAA batteries. These are not supplied. The only thing I noted here was the bays are a touch on the small side, so not all of the larger cells will fit onto the case. It's a very small design. Part of it is glossy and part is matte. It's also very thin. I quite like the look of it actually. It's a bit more interesting than some boxes. And we also have on the side the micro SD and 2 USB. On the back we have the HDMI, power, LAN and AV ports, and on the underside it's just molded plastic. There's no rubber feet on this one. Now the light on this is actually quite dim. I had to gain up the camera in post-processing. It's just a blue LED that turns on when the power's there, so it's not going to annoy you at all. Once you've booted up, it takes about 20-25 seconds to boot. We have a fairly familiar looking menu screen. This one's actually okay. I've seen better ones because you have a few presets that you might not use, such as Netflix, but apart from that it's quite clean and easy to use. On the bottom bar you can customize that with the apps that you want, so you can add or remove them as you see fit. Not bad on the interface, so I'm quite happy enough with this one. There is just one point that I would note is with the fixed apps. For example, if you don't use Netflix, then the space is wasted. I'd prefer if they put just slots for specific types of apps that you want, for example movies and music, things like that. There's a clean memory function as well, and you'll probably end up using that because we only have 1GB of RAM, so it's worthwhile having that. Looking in the apps, not too many included with this. We've got a few basic streaming ones, Film On, Mobdro, and some social media stuff, Facebook. Now moving into Kodi, we've 16.1 installed, so there is an update for that. You can move to the newer version if you wish. There are some streams included. There aren't a massive number of streams, but it's also possible to add some more fairly easily from that. These are the ones that they've pre-installed. Just a few basic ones, so it's not as loaded as some of them. Back into the menus now, fairly straightforward. And then once you've gone into the other settings, the more advanced ones, it just takes you into the standard Android 5.1 screen. Have a fair amount of storage space left on this box because they haven't gone too mad with the apps. Now you will note that there's one thing that is missing, and that's Bluetooth. Not something I would expect on this box because of the price, and it's probably not something that I would particularly use that much anyway. Even though I have higher end boxes, I don't really use the Bluetooth that much, but everyone's different, so if you need that you might want to look at something else. Now if you want to update any of the streams, they've given you shortcuts to do that in Kodi, and you can simply pick the type of one that you want, for example audio or videos. Or you can go into the Kodi Center and it give you the categories, so you can search through those and add the streams as you see fit. This is one on the live plugins. Plenty of guides out there if you need to use other streams. There's quite a lot for Kodi. There's also one here for kids as well. Now this one does have a menu bar at the bottom, and you can take a snapshot too, and the bar can be hidden or you can flick it up and bring it back, so that works perfectly. There's no problems with that at all. I like that because that's quite important for scrolling around if you have an Air mouse. As you can see here, you can close apps and screens quite easily using that. Quick Wi-Fi test, I had no problems at all with this. I was getting up to around 30 megabits per second download. It's in line with other boxes that I've tried, so I didn't see any obvious issues with the Wi-Fi on this box. Running Geekbench now, just to give us an idea on the processor performance. And it comes in dead on 1000 for the multi-core. So the performance of the box is a bit below some of the Amlogic chips that I've used, the quad-core ones, in terms of the processor. Some of those were scoring sort of 1300 or perhaps slightly higher. So the processor isn't the fastest on this box, but for normal use I found it okay. Moving between apps and streaming, it did a fairly decent job on that. This is the benchmark that I'm running for a 3D test. This is just one specific one that I use, so you can compare different boxes. And the results from this were actually slightly better than some of the other quad-core chips that I've looked at. So the average frames per second was just under 20. So you can do a bit of light gaming on this. Shouldn't really be a problem. Light to moderate use for 3D. Now there are a couple of points with the box that I would note. Apart from the menu screen itself, which I thought could be slightly improved, and the remote, which was slightly tight for some reason on the batteries, the box actually worked pretty well. I really don't have any obvious complaints. It is an entry-level box. There isn't a whole load of features, and you've got a basic spec, and the processor is a bit on the slow side, but I didn't see any obvious problems for streaming and day-to-day use. It actually worked quite well, and I like the design and styling of the box. So I think if you're on a tight budget, this might be one to look at.